Louise Taylor. Welcome. Today we're going to give you 4 keys to helping you go ahead and walk away from this video being able to untap some of the sales that you have, opportunities that you have right in front of your eyes. One of the things that I've found over the years is that fear is a massive factor. Belief is a huge factor in whether people are successful with going ahead and converting sales or whether they shrink back in fear. So we're going to tackle those things today. So get ready, get your pen ready and start to be excited, because you're going to have a reframe and a reshift in the way that you think about your sales process. So the first thing that we work with people on is mindset. Think about the sale. When is the time that you're actually thinking about the sales process? It's not, the first part isn't when you're in front of your customer. The first part when you're thinking about the sale is actually when you're lying in bed in the days or weeks before and imagining the story in your mind. We all have a story in our mind, right? So what is the story that you're playing out in your mind about your customer? Are you imagining yourself going and talking to them and them saying no to you? Because if that's the case, that's the starting point. That is the root, the belief that you have about whether people are going to buy from you or not. So we've got to tackle that first so that we know that you're going to be able to shift the way that you think and shift what you believe about sales. Remember when you were a child and you would try and talk your parents into letting you stay up late, or you try and get them to buy you a lollipop at the shop. How persistent were you as a child? Think about a 2-year-old. They don't have a problem asking for anything, do they? Because they don't have fear. And as we get older, what happens is when people say no to us, we start to shrink back instead of move forward. So I want you to think about having a forward mentality when you're thinking about your sales. I want you to think about, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel confident? When was the last time that you sold something to someone? Remember it. Because if you can tap into that part of your brain and remember when you were confident and how you felt when you had a win, and it doesn't even have to be a sale, it could be when you got a job, when you scored a goal on the soccer field or on the netball court. Think about a time when you had some success, because your brain doesn't know if that relates to a sale or not. So stop for a moment, have a think. When were you last successful at something? And what we do when we start to create that association in our mind is that we're building a muscle in our brain. So if you think about it like this, here's your brain. Might be a bit more wobbly than this, but anyway. So here's the thought, you're thinking about the sale. Here's the pathway, the neuro pathway in your brain. So you're thinking about the sale, you're either going to associate with fear or you're going to associate with feeling confident and feeling successful. So what you want to do is cut this pathway and start to associate with that confidence that you had, the success that you had. And when you were successful, what is it that you were thinking and doing and feeling? How were you standing? How was your eye contact? What was your demeanor? Were you smiling? Were you in the zone? What had you been doing the morning before you had that success? Had you thought about it and imagined that situation beforehand? So reframing the way that you think about the sale is so key. The other thing that happens when people sell is if somebody says no to them, what happens to you in that 30 seconds after someone says no is crucial as to how you're going to move forward. You have a choice in that moment. You have a choice to either let go of your dreams, or you have a choice that you're going to move forward and pursue your goal and not associate with that rejection that everybody feels. It's normal. So it's starting to be aware of how you're thinking about selling and what it is going on in your body and your mind when you're going through the sales process, before, during and after. The second area that we love to help people with is reframing the way that they think about their product. When you think about the product or service that you're offering, maybe you're in business for yourself and you're offering a service, maybe you're a coach, maybe you are a professional of some kind, maybe an HR professional, a health professional, and you're here to serve people. That's what you want. But what happens a lot of times with people in their own business is that they have a fear around pricing their product the way that it really should be priced. because all you're thinking about is whether people are going to spend that money, whether they're going to see the value in your product. So switch it around a little bit and start to think about what is the value of your product to your customer. How's it going to affect their life emotionally? How's it going to affect them mentally? Is it going to improve their energy? Is it going to make them feel less stressed? Is it going to make them feel excited? Maybe you're selling travel. It's going to give them connection with their family. What is the value to them? Is it going to give them more time in their day? And what is it going to cost them if they don't use their service? Use your service. What is the cost to them? Because rather than think about will they spend the money or not, when you start to place your attention on the value of your product to your customer, you will have a whole different perspective on whether they will spend money with you or not. So the third part, the way that you can be more effective, is what happens in the unconscious mind when people are making a buying decision. And I found so many people worry about how their customers are going to buy and what they're going to say based on their own buying style, their own thinking style. So I'll give you an example. I'm a very creative person, and my husband and I went to look for a push bike many years ago, and we walked into the shop and my husband started to look at the push bike and ask questions about all the gears and all the technical side of the bike. And while he was doing that, I was talking to the salesperson, and all I wanted to know was where did he live, what did he do, and just build trust and build a conversation with him and find out more about him. And all I cared about was that the bike was blue and it had gears and it would work and I could sit on it and it was comfortable. And when we walked out of the shop, my husband said to me, "Why did you spend so long talking to the salesperson?" And I said I needed to know that I trusted him. So my buying style was different to his buying style. What Jim wanted to do was find out how long would the bike last, how practical was it, because he uses the left part of his brain to make a buying decision and I use the right part of my brain. So you can't assume that your potential customers or your boss, maybe you're trying to get a promotion and you need to influence your boss, you can't assume that the person that you're talking to is going to make a buying decision the same way that you do. So changing your language is really important when you're communicating to anyone in any kind of situation. And so what we do in our programs is teach you how to use the 4 quadrants of your brain and recognize how your customers buy and how to speak to them in a way that they can process the information. The 4th part is the process. And in the process of sales, that's all about how do you build rapport? How do you know if you're matching and building rapport with your customers? How can you build rapport in 30 seconds? And when you start to understand people and behaviour and the science behind how people behave, you have a massive advantage when you're in a sales situation to be able to connect with them very, very quickly, to build a rapport very quickly, because rapport is an unconscious thing. We use the conscious part of our mind to process information, but it's really the unconscious part of our mind that helps us to make buying decisions. It's the emotions, it's the values behind why people buy. So when you understand that, it makes a massive difference. So think about the process that you use when you meet someone. What is it about them that you like? Why is it that you like someone instantly? Often it's because you just like the way that they look at you. The smiles, the face tells a lot. People make a judgment very quickly on your face. So smile more is a good one to do. Listen more and connect with them. Notice their body language when you're in front of that customer. So I hope these tips have prompted you to think about how you sell, how you think about selling, how you communicate with your customers, and even how you buy yourself. So I'd invite you to go and have a look at our website, and you can access some free information there to help you recognize how to move your sales forward. We've had an unbelievable success both with corporate sales teams, with business owners. We just had a business owner just last week who went from $2,000 a month and went and got herself a $250,000 contract just by using some of the tools that we show here. And what we do differently is we coach. We don't just train and educate, we actually coach you through the barriers that are holding you back so that you really own it and that you feel 100% belief that you can move forward and convert your sales. Look forward to seeing you soon, and go and access some free tips on how to sell more. See you next episode.